All right, I ended that last stream because I didn't realize I was on. But anyways, I'm glad that I'm back, and thank you so much for those who will tune in and today, and those who will come later. Thank you again. Um, I want to talk today about why I decided to wait until another 4 years before I go back home to Guyana. And so there are several or a couple of important reasons as to why I'm waiting. Because I know I sound so excited about going, and then the wait is on, and in that wait, there is even more excitement to be had. But even as I plan everything out, uh, I oftentimes have questions about different things. Why am I waiting? It's the first question I ask myself. Like, is there a particular reason why I'm waiting? Why can't I just go right now? I'm so ready. So many people have tuned in and said that they've already done the move, and that gets me even more excited about the possibilities. But just want to tell you why I decided to wait it out a little instead of making a decision so brash that you forgot that there are steps to take. So with every move that I think that we make in life, we have to be decisive, and we have to be overly zealous in terms of um, making sure that everything is aligned the way it should be. Uh, we're not kids. We're adults, and we have to be prepared for today and the unforeseeable future as well. So I wanted to talk about just some of the things that I was concerned about, right? So I like to give details. I'm a very detailed person. So if you notice, whenever I talk, I usually get into, the background of everything, because I guess I'm a natural teacher. So it comes out in me, and communication is my field. So I definitely always try to make sure to fulfill on that end so that my listeners wouldn't be lost, and that also that I'm being transparent enough that they get where it is that I'm coming from. So always look for the details and whatever it is that I have to say, because I'll never just rush you through to the next phase. All right. So, making this move and why it is that I decided that I'm going to wait a little bit rather than just going. A couple of things. I just want to tell you that, of course, you guys, I've told you before that we have children. They're all older now. The older one, or the oldest one, he's been on his own for several years, many years now. So he's 29. Well, actually, he just turned 30 last week. The second one, who is away in college, and he just turned, or is going to turn. Oh, let me rephrase that. So yeah, that's when you're getting old. You're getting old because now you start forgetting how the kids' birthdays fall and how old they are. But the oldest one, he turned 30 on March 19th, and literally a week later, this is how our kids are born. The 21-year-old, now 21-year-old, turned 21. He's the one that is in the United States Marine, and he turned 21 on the 27th. So that was the Friday before March 19th, and then the 27th was this past Saturday, and then this coming Sunday, which is Easter Sunday, our 24-year-old will turn 25. So he is the one away in art school, finishing up his degree. Um, and the fact is this is that you can't just jump and go. Even though they're older, you kind of feel responsible for making sure that you just don't leave them in the half somewhere. You have worked hard, you've prepared them, and they're good. They're really okay. They're really sustainable in terms of what it is that they decide to do with their own lives. I believe, we have certainly raised some eagles, and they're soaring. They're doing what they have to. So we're good, and on that part. But the other part of it is this: is that there is one that is due for graduation. So we want to make sure we catch that, and he's due to graduate. I believe in a year, 2022. I'm sorry, he's due to graduate in 2022. So we need to be there for that. And once he's done graduating, he may go on for another degree, but that's on him at that point. So we'll, of course, fly back, and whenever that happens, if it's after the fact that we've left. So then not only do we have him graduating, but we also have the same one that is a Marine. He actually got married last year to his beautiful bride Jacqueline, and what because it was in the middle of the pandemic, they just did a small wedding. Literally, just went down to the council and in the state that she lives, and they got married. So it wasn't any celebration at all. So right now we're still waiting on a decisive a decision to move forward with the actual wedding reception, and where we will get to meet her family and they get to meet us. So that hasn't happened yet. Because they're young and they decided they wanted to go ahead and get married, and she was just out of high school. He's a Marine, she's a small town girl, and he fell head over heels and decided that he was going to marry his bride. I mean, to be bride, and now she's the bride. She's definitely his wife. So we're waiting on that, and I am, since I do events, or I do decor, I'm the one who's also responsible for the decor for their wedding. So I get to design a beautiful hall, which I've already done their tablescape, and it just turned out so gorgeous. So we're waiting on that to happen. And of course, along the lines, you don't know if grandkids are going to come. So it will be nice to at least meet our grandchild if they have one prior to us leaving. So that will be beautiful. And then also, um, there is the something else with yeah. So I think primarily that's it with the kids. It's mostly just about one graduating, and one has having a wedding. So those things we have to definitely attend to. So outside of that, that's family stuff. I I wanted to wait also because you have to plan everything. So in planning everything, I have been organizing my thoughts. I've been writing things down. I have been talking to people who has done the move prior to me. I have been finding encouragement from those who has already done it, and I have been trying to work on my project, so to speak. So in working on the project. I know it's coming along. In fact, I just got a phone call today that give me an update, and now we're about to move into phase 2 and 3 of the project in April. So hopefully, I'll be done with that project by I think end of May is when we're shooting for. Um, and then hopefully a launch in July. And I'm not really sure about that launch at all at this point because of the fact that I think I'm kind of pushing it too much. Like I don't want to be pushy and then make mistakes. I would rather build the structure, have it there, and then furnish it and do what it is that I have to in time. I don't need to rush this because I was trying to kill two birds with one stone since I'm down there in July anyway. Wanted to see if I can do the launch, but in evaluating everything, I may step back a little and say, okay, well, let me just ease up. There's no need to rush at all. Honestly, there isn't. I'm excited to get it off the ground in terms of the actual launch and of the facility, but sometimes you run into things and you make grave mistakes because you're too much in a hurry. And I am a very very detailed person, and I like things done. And I also am very very I'm action oriented. It's what makes me, or it's what makes me thick. And I just love to just make sure that everything is okay, and I want to get it done right away. And that can, for some of us who are that kind of type A personality, it can get us into trouble. But I've been very, very good in structure in my life and in structure in everything that I do, education, job, or career, or whatever it is that you're looking at. I've been very good at doing that. And so I want to be good at this next phase as well. So I don't want to rush. I think rushing will put me into some trouble, and I'm not willing to take that risk. Even though I'm not afraid to fail, because they talk about failure, and the reality of failure is that they say it's when you don't try something that you've already failed, right? We can fall down 97 times, as long as we get up on that 98th. That's what matters. That's not failure. That's just experience that's speaking. So the reality of me trying to get this thing done in a hurry, um, I don't think it's smart to go that route. I think it's smart to take my time and get it done. So I'm gonna take my time because I've got time. I've got this 4-year plan that I have structured out. So why am I in a hurry to get it done? I really don't need to be. So I've decided to step back and do the launch in 2022 rather than 2021. Even though I may come back and say to you, well, hey, I just got, maybe it's going to be late 2021. But so far, I think I'm good with 2022. Because if everything is planned out the way I want to, or panned out the way I want to, then I may say, hey, you know what? What's wrong with just jumping ahead and getting it done? But I'm not in a hurry. That has to be that everything else has aligned itself, and now I'm going to say, all right, well, let me just go ahead and go to the next phase, which is the actual launch. And because I'm totally comfortable with every other aspect of the situation. So with that said, um, I'm not committing to 2022, but definitely I don't mind waiting until 2022. All right, to get it done. The other aspect of it is that we have to ship everything. When I started my nonprofit, this is at least 7 or 8 years ago, when I started my nonprofit organization in Guyana. I remembered being able to go to, there were two shipping companies that I went to. And so it was between La Parkin, and also there was a Finlay's, or something like that, Jamaican owned company. The other one, of course, we all know La Parkin. So I, but I remember being able to ship like um, astronomical amount of stuff, like literally, so like I would ship beds, and I would ship different things, and so I would just ship a lot. I mean, outside of the stuff that I was shipping for my foundation, I was also shipping things to my grandma's house to I told you guys, to upgrade the house, so fans and beds and all sort of stuff. So I was just shipping a whole bunch of stuff. So not only was I redoing the master room, but I was also doing the living room. I was doing different parts of the house. So I would just ship. And to be honest with you, what I'm getting to is this: is that it wasn't as costly. I don't know what happened between that time when I first started and now, but I have found that when I ship now, I would ship smaller amounts of things, and I've shipped for all those years, and literally I've shipped, like, sometimes I ship 3 times a year, from Guyana, Jamaica, different things to my foundation. And so I would find that it wasn't as expensive. I would ship a lot of stuff. And then I ship stove, fridge, all sort of stuff I've shipped home. And then all of a sudden now, this is crazy, but I have to tell you that when I go ship just a little bit of things, like the other day, a couple months back. Well, actually, no, this is even before the pandemic hit. That's not a couple of months back. That's almost a year since I've shipped. And I think that would have been probably February of last year. I shipped some furnitures down, my old living room furnitures. I shipped to my grandma's house. And so, in fact, when by the time they delivered it, it was the pandemic had started, but it had started here in the U.S. So they took La Parkin took some time before they actually took it up to where it needed to be, because I paid for delivery. So they took at least a month before they actually got it got it to where it was supposed to be. And generally, it takes less time, in my experience, right? So, but anyways, I didn't pay a whole bunch of money, back then. But even with those little bit of furnitures that I sent, I found that I paid way more than before. And now it's like, considering the fact that I must ship all this stuff, because I'm shipping not only for my future home, I'm shipping for, um, let me see, I'm shipping for my business. Even though I have a business there, I've got so much stuff here I have to take out of storage and ship there. I've got so much, so it's not like an overnight task that you can just do. I'm going to need time to ship. I'm going to need time to store things. I'm going to need time to protect my things, because people will take your things, and then you end up in a whole bunch of issues, so you have to be careful on that end as well. Whereas, you're shipping your stuff, you believe you have this amount of stuff, and then people are taking your stuff as you ship. And that is just really something, a bad experience to have had. Has it happened to me in the past? Yeah, but I think I've secured myself with good enough people who are willing to, ask me for something if they need it, because I'm a giver. Naturally, I'm a giver. If you ask me, I'll give it to you, but don't take my things, because then it just really pisses me off. And then you become my enemy, and then therefore, you can't ask me for anything after that, because I'm not going to give it to you. So I would appreciate when people just say, hey, can I have this, or done that? I saw you have so and so, can I? And 90% of the times you can have it. That 10% is something either that is very important to me, that I'm not, I can't find again, and I'm not willing to part with it, because I wouldn't be able to find it again. But if I can find it again, and if it's reasonable, pricing, I would give it away, because that's just me. I just don't, want people touching my things, though, because it's really, really, it's a sickening experience to know that people just violate you like that. So it's important when all of us here, and we understand what I'm talking about. So this is not new to none of us in this audience, I would think. Um, that when we do ship our things, that it's protected down there. So that's a concern that I do have, to make sure that my things are going to the right place, the right person, and that she's able to protect those things when it gets there. So that's another, factor that I'm facing. Um, the other thing is that I am hoping to, that Ghana will also develop more as we go on, in the years. Looking forward to. I saw, and I posted this also on my live, and I was talking about, I mean, they were talking about the redevelopment of Linden, and I am so excited to see that there's a committee that is formed, that is moving forward with rebuilding Linden, promoting Linden, doing works to attract visitors, in the future. Um, and also, people who wants to remigrate like myself. I think that people like us, who wants to remigrate, we are coming from a different society, and we want more. But we don't mind spending our money to get more, but we want more, and we want better service. We want, good products. Um, I will spend my money on these things. I would spend my money on the things that I need, and things that I feel like, is reasonable, right? But the fact is that, you have to have those things to offer us. What are you offering to the person, or to the people who live in societies that are so developed? Like, we are not coming from broken societies. We're not coming from nothing. We're not coming from places of lack. We are moving home because we have the resources to. We're moving back there because we want to help redevelop our nation back there, right? So there is this thing where we talk about, and I mentioned this before, probably, where we talk about, brain drain, and where basically we were, drawn from places like Guyana and other, Caribbean nations, and we were, brought over here to the United States, to Canada, and even and of course England. And those were the educated folks that they looked to come into those countries to help develop those countries, to buy homes, to buy cars, to to make a good living, and to give back the money. Like, these societies just don't exist, on nothing at all. Like, there is a nothingness. It exists for a reason. It's set up for a reason. The platform is set up the way it is so that it can work a certain way. They're not looking for people to come in and live off their systems. They're looking for folks who are going to come in and contribute to the economy, right? And so they and us contributing, even though I came over here young, but my parents contributed in terms of their work. Them working for years here in the United States, and my grandparents, and then here I came along and did other things on top of what they've done, and then my kids came along. So it's a constant contribution to their systems. And you got to remember that folks like us were partially educated back home, and then we brought that same discipline to the new world that we now embrace. And of course, it was in this country that we have been able to develop ourselves even more so, from high school to, well, for me, it was middle, then high school, and then college, then university, and so on. So we have done our share in this country. Like, I have produced three wonderful sons in this country who are now contributing to this country's economy. And so now it's time for me to go back home to contribute to the economy there. What am I bringing with me? Now, I've got tons that I'm bringing with me, and I'll talk about that in another video. And so the fact is that whether it's my education, my connections, my skill sets, just the ability to be able to be marketable, and or to help others be marketable, all those things I'm bringing with me to help redevelop my own country. So Guyana may think it doesn't need people like us, but if America thought that way, they wouldn't be one of the greatest countries in the world. See, you can't do this thing by yourself. We've got a big open market, and we're interconnected in so many ways. And so the possibilities of me doing, coming from the United States, bringing in all that I've learned that the United States have prepared me for, and helping to redevelop my community back home, is where, it's not something that I take lightly. So I would hope that the I don't know, what should I say? I would hope that the acceptance of people like myself who are coming there to do more, to display our talents in various areas, to help others to grow, to show them how to grow, because this country has shown us how to do it. And the fact that to be able to have a government which opens the doors to all of its citizens, right? In terms of them being more productive, in terms of them having more opportunities to do better, in terms of more competitiveness, in terms of the marketplace. So these are things that should Guyana should have had straightened out a long time ago. But we still see the struggles, and we still see the fact that government isn't doing as much as it should. But I do not believe that government is the answer. Honestly, I don't. And I said that in one of my comments. I don't believe that government is the answer. I believe each and every citizen, as JFK says, you're not supposed to ask what your country can do for you. You should be asking what you can do for your country. So we want to be that citizen, or that person who comes and gives back to that community of people to help redevelop our own country, or to develop it all over, well, to help develop it in so many ways, whether it's from business aspects to education, to various maybe sports, whatever it is that we do, whatever skill sets we have, however we're able to give back. Like Guyana, all I'm asking you to do is tune in to the talent that this whole remigration is offering you. You cannot do it alone. This isn't a space where, or an economy, it's a global economy. This isn't the time to be stingy about letting people in, or, you know, stingy about what, the fact that other people are coming in and you think they're coming to take something. No, because you know what? We can very well stay in this country and we can continue to prosper in whatever ways we want to. We can. I'm not living a bad life. There's nothing wrong with my life per se. There's nothing, that I'm short of. My life isn't filled with troubles and issues or anything like that. My life is fine. This is just a personal choice of mine to want to come back to my country. Many years ago, I want to share this with you. This was probably during Heights, President Heights' time. And I remember I was a young girl and I met him because I was a journalist, and I'd gone in to interview him. He was such a gentleman, and a statesman, by the way. And so I went in to meet with him, but outside of meeting with Height and sitting talking to him, and we just connected so well. And I mean, he had me laughing, I had him laughing. It was just really a nice interview. He was such a gentleman, honestly. So with all that said, I remember there was a time before I even met him that I was probably my maybe 21, 22 years old. And I went to Guyana and I was trying to do some sort of business with my passport, or not my passport because I was already a citizen here, but my grandmother's passport. I can't remember what it was exactly. But I made this appointment at the passports office, and then I went into the passports office to get it done. And I mean, they pushed me around for hours. This is way back, honestly. I'm 40 something years old now, 47 years old now. So this is in my 20s. I mean, almost 30 years ago or something. Who knows? But anyway, I just remember, just being pushed around. And as a journalist, what do? I penned my feelings. I penned it. I went back. I told him, I said, when I get back to the US, you're going to hear from me, because I was that angry about their whole system, because they had me wait for like 3 hours on the line. That was back then, of course, in the hot sun. Got up there and then they told me that I needed to go get something else. I'm like, well, you mean all these people that came out and talked to us didn't even access what we were here for, and then you had me sit in this line, and now you're telling me to go back at it, because that was one of my concerns. It's not that I had a problem getting the documents, but I'm like, do I have to go back in that line because I needed to go get something somewhere that wasn't far away? I don't remember what it was. And I'm like, do I have to now rejoin that line that I just spent 3 hours on? Oh, I do. I said, oh, really? So I wasn't happy. So I told him, I said, can I speak to a supervisor? Because here in the United States, we are always speaking to a supervisor. Yes, I know we're kind of spoiled, but it's just the way it is. So I asked them to speak to a supervisor, and the supervisor came and maintained what the clerk said, and wouldn't divert from it. And I said, all right. Said, when I get back to the US, I said, I promise you that you'll hear from me, because I just was disgusted at the fact that I just would have to rejoin the line that I spent 3 hours on, and I wasn't happy at all. I think if they had said, well, come back to the front, I probably would have been okay with it, because at least I was doing the right thing. I waited online and I waited my turn. And now that you told me that I needed something that I didn't have, which I didn't know that I needed, right? I mean, they didn't have that on the list. So at least now you can at least accommodate me. But nope, they weren't trying to be accommodating. So when I got back, I wrote a nice letter to the editor, and one of the newspapers. Don't remember which newspaper it was, but I wrote a letter and I let them know. And this is what I was getting to. I told them, I said, listen, I am a young, American citizen. I can travel into any country in the world, any country. All I have to do is show my passport. And I'm not, being facetious here, or, making, gloating myself in any way, or, pushing my Americanism on anyone else. But it's the reality. I could have traveled anywhere I wanted to, still can, but I make a decision as a young guy needs to come back home and to be treated in such a way like you really didn't care. I honestly wasn't feeling it. And so I wrote that letter to the editor, and everyone was so proud. They were like, "Yes, you need to let them know because this is terrible." And that was the local Guyanese. All my friends and family were so happy that I actually had penned that letter because they just thought that the system was just stupid, anyways, and it needed to be fixed. So I guess I kind of brought up something that what the people were thinking anyway. So it wasn't only me being overseas and having a mentality that things should be ran better, but it was just people, me, other people that were there that were also feeling that vent up kind of feeling and just needed to have a voice. And so I guess I was that voice that needed to be heard. Anyway, with all that, I'm just saying today I'm coming back to 20 something years, almost 30 years later, where I'm saying I can choose to live in this country or I can go to any other country in the world and live if I wanted to, right? But I've chosen to come back to Guyana, and it is my country, and it's a beautiful place, and I love it. And I do want to, I hope that the remigration process will be made easy. I pray that those who are down there, who are in leadership, will see the benefits of coming to those of us who are remigrating with talents and who can offer our services and who can help to build Guyana to where it needs to be. You've got to picture the fact that we already educated abroad are now coming back home to help re-educate some of the people there on the kind of in the way that they've probably never been educated before. They're not learning from us how to read and write. They're just learning how to do things the American way. They're learning how to interact with markets. They're learning how to be ready for that job. Just when the American companies come in, they're learning how to deal with these people straightforward. They're learning skill sets. They're learning how to interview. They're learning certain techniques because the way it works there is not the way it works here. All right. So there are certain disciplines that are going to remain the same, no matter what, mannerisms and so on, respect. But there are some other things that you're going to need to know that that we can teach you. And so just like we are coming there and we're going to learn from you, you can learn from us. And there is this exchange of power and balance and information that can work wonderful. But we've got to be open. I'm not coming there to change anybody. I'm just coming in with what I have. And I have no doubt that what I have is something that is going to be beneficial to the next generation. So hopefully it's taken advantage of. But I've never been the type to sit and wait in government anyway. So, much like with my foundation and my business there, I just go in and I make changes. And is a Thatcher that says, never doubt that a small group of people can change the world because, in fact, it's the only thing that ever has. We, as a small group of people, remigration community or individually, we can make an impact in this world. And who was it, Gandhi, that says, no culture can live alone if it attempts to be exclusive. These were all great minds, and they have taught us how to continue to live and benefit this world so that when we leave this world, the dash between when we're born and when we leave here is significant, that it stands for something and something great. So thank you so much for listening. I'm waiting and I'm excited about going back home, but everything has to be set in place. So whether it's my children that I'm, talking about in terms of waiting until they've completed certain feats in their lives, to us completing all the things that we need to set in place in order to make that move, and to also be able to, build that foundation and the connectivity that we need in terms of the marketplace in Guyana, we need to do all those things. So we're not rushing. I'm not rushing. So thank you so much once again for joining me, and I appreciate you. And hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. Have a great one. Take care. Bye bye.